We started with 128 players here for the MLG 2010 National Championships for the StarCraft 2 competition, and only 2 players are left who have not been defeated, and we are about to see them right now. I am DJ Wheat.
And I am Day 9.
And we are about to throw ourselves right into the matchup between TT1 and Jinro.
This is going to be an insane series because at the same time there is another epic TVP going on in the lower bracket. It is Pain User against Liquid Tyler. Pain User did defeat the little one, and Tyler, as we just saw, did defeat EG Machine. So only Terrans and Protosses remaining in this tournament, and really this is going to be a clash of the creative, unorthodox play of Jinro against the super solid, not tricky play of TT1.
And I'm really excited to see that too, because when you have that contrast in styles, you know, it really puts forth some great games and even gets that player like TT1 who focuses so much on just a perfect game to go outside of that a little bit and figure out what methods he needs to use to defeat his opponent.
Absolutely. So we are getting the players into the game right now. Now, the Terran vs. Protoss of Jinro, we did get the chance to see him do against Sock on this map, and what was most impressive to me, at least, was the very nice unit movement of Jinro.
Right.
We've been very impressed with Pain User's transition to the Banshees and the Thors in the late game. Jinro did the pretty normal Marines, Marauders, Vikings, Medevacs, but the way he split them up, almost never had his army together, was a very, very clever way to abuse his Protoss.
Settle down there, Dave.
Sorry.
I know you're excited.
I
know you're excited. The fluttering.
My body can hardly contain it.
The fluttering. So we're just waiting for Jinro to join the game. Of course, Jinro from Team Liquid and TT1 from Fnatic. A very interesting set of players. I'm really excited to see this matchup, plus TVP. We've seen a few of them throughout the competition, and as you mentioned, the one between Jinro and Sock was an amazing, amazing game. It is one that you should watch 50 times and enjoy every single time you watch it.
And there, we do have the little one in the back, because keep in mind, even though he does not have a chance to win the tournament anymore, he must battle it out with Machine for that 5th, 6th place spot.
So we are going to get this match started in just a moment. Again, we're just waiting for Jinro's request, and Jinro actually looks like he's reading Team Liquid, actually. He's like, oh, I'm ready to hop in this game, and here he comes.
We're going to ask him if he enjoyed checking the forum, and we're going to have to make TT1 red and Jinro the blue player. So it looks like we're getting some smiles from the players out front. And there is the good luck, the have fun, and the good game going into the winners bracket finals. Both these players are top 3. Give a cheer for LiquidJinro and TT1 from Fnatic MSI, the 2 players who have not lost a series yet.
I know, and that is so awesome to think about. We are basically seeing the 2 best players who have come and showed their impressive skills here at MLG Dallas. And one of these one of these players will unfortunately fall to the lower bracket, but still have a chance to climb back up. Essentially, this can be sometimes a preview of the final that is yet to come.
So there we have LiquidJinro at the right position as the lower-seeded blue Terran on Metalopolis, and on the top we have TT1, the higher-seeded red Protoss.
All right, well, we saw some of the very impressive play from Jinro, some of the builds that he's deployed here based off of the race that he is playing. He's been very solid the entire time. He did drop a game to Pain User, but then came back and won 2 very convincing games, really inching forward and showing how important positioning can be in those TVT battles, having that impressive vision, etc. And we are getting started right here in the winner bracket final. TT1 against Jinro in our opening moments of the game.
Now, of course, they did note the lag, but unless they talk to a ref, they cannot pause. That could be just them complaining. It is, of course, absolutely legal to request a pause for an issue with the connection, but either way, it looks like both players are happy enough to continue playing it out. TT1 has thrown down that pylon in his main. wants to obviously get his gateways in a very nice closed-off spot. Notice him already creating little blocks with his buildings to prevent Hellions or Reapers from slipping through.
Now, when you are playing against you are Jinro, and you are playing against a player who has very solid strategies, very meticulous, and even how he described it as perfection in some way, shape, or form. You know, are you going to continue to use just what you know against them, or do you try to interrupt that perfection, interrupt that flow of the Protoss player in this matchup?
Definitely. I mean, that is actually a key in all matchups at very high levels. Once players get out of the, or excuse me, once players get into the ability to do very well-timed, smoothly executed builds, and everyone's feeling happy, you realize they're only happy and satisfied if they are left alone in the game. As much pressure as you can put on, either to be a mental distraction or to actually be a real diversion, like killing workers to mess up this food count. That is a very easy way to throw off a lesser player, but both these players have proven to be quite resilient. Orbital Command and Marine out right now for Jinro, and TT1 is getting his Cyber Core.
Yeah, that Cyber Core is really, really far back in the base, too. Is he really trying to hide that from any scouting that comes forward?
I think he's very cleverly placing buildings to spot. Medevacs love to move along this top ledge. No reason not to do a little block down there. And it looks like, oh, the Manor Factory going to block that probe. But, of course, also just building the factory because likely going to be floating it directly here to his opponent's side.
And Jinro is going to make it into the base, and he is going to scout what is going on. We do have our first chrono boosted unit. It's going to be a Stalker coming out of there as well. And Warpgate already done researching. Saw some very unique builds by TT1 in the last matchup that we saw him play in the winner bracket. That was versus Machine, where he had, of course, that sick timing with the 6 Warp Gates, held off that push, came back to win the series.
Given the timing of the second gas, looks like Jinro will be going into some big Banshee play, and I absolutely love that move. And he's going to be distracting in the entire meantime with this factory. There's 1 starport going down and a reactor for his barracks. So I guess not huge Banshee play, but instead just getting a factory. Or, hey, he could just be going straight up for the medevac. Yeah, and there's the factory being floated. So Jinro is going to find some place to land it here as TT1 is doing the very safe double gateway and robo build.
Yep, robo is about 50% done as the factory just flies over and gets a great view. If you look out the left side, you can see the nexus of TT1. And we got starport going up with barracks as well, additional barracks being thrown down in there, and curious to see what he will ultimately do with that factory. Sentry out as well, going to start to do a little bit of damage, but of course with 1,250 hit points, it's going to be hard for that one guy to take him out.
So, you know, sometimes you build a pylon to block a Zerg's hatch against Terran. Or if you're Terran, you just land the factory there, so he is going to be taking some zapping damage there. But it does look like he's going to lift off just in time to let this probe build a nexus.
And moving that away, actually, probe did not come down quite yet. He's the 400 minerals now. Here he comes as more units warping in, some more sentries, some more stalkers, and this army of TT1 continuing to grow. Ooh. We did see the observer quickly scanned and killed there by Jinro. Does not want his opponent to have any eyeballs in his base.
And it looks like Jinro just doing a great job of scouting with this factory. This is an extremely annoying but highly effective way of checking out what your opponent is doing, especially in these proxy positions.
Bunker is up at the front, and we've, of course, got the Marines scouting now around the area. That factory is going to continue to float back here, and the Nexus is at about 50% done. Additionally, we do have that first Banshee out. Stim is underway, and some more Marines also coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, very cool to get an extremely fast Raven. You can throw down those point defense drones, and it looks like, wow, TT1 getting, as all Protosses have been doing today, the extremely fast Robo Bay. Players love getting that very fast Colossus, and I think I've said enough about that. This game, I'm going to be like, that's awesome, Wheat. Way to go, Colossi.
And that's exactly what we're going to see over there. So that is awesome, as we'll see how it will go and how it will play into what Jinro has in store for his opponent. Now some Marauders coming out as well, in addition to some Marines. And here's that first Banshee coming out. Curious to see what exactly his plan is to do with this. Not only give him some vision inside the base, but also some harassing, as he's going to have to take the long way around in order to get to the back of that mineral line.
Very, very annoying to be up against Banshees in these positions. You want to be doing a push with your Colossi somewhat quickly. You want to be able to get to your opponent's base and take out those Marines, but you have to always keep pulling Stalkers farther and farther back. The Colossi cannot help at all with these Banshees. In fact, the Colossi do the exact opposite. They make you wish you didn't get Colossi, and there go down a few hits, and of course, Jinro just pulls away.
Yep, took one hit there, only 10 points of damage, did get one kill, and that Observer will begin following that Banshee. Banshee now going over to the other base. Stalker will rotate around to try to get some additional damage. He does get a couple of hits, but again, he just moves away. Second kill. He's just very, very cautious, and I do believe he did see that Colossus kind of come into view there, and so Jinro is going to try to keep this Banshee alive. There is a second one incoming. It's now beating on this pylon over here that is behind the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, Banshees are so effective, just in general, but especially in these positions. And Jinro is still getting more Banshees. Looks like we have more gateways going down by TT1. And has he halted Colossus production? Yes, he has. Not even getting the Thermal Lance upgrade, just sort of abandoning that for the time being. Jinro doing a completely different style than the one that we saw in his game against Sock.
Yeah, completely different. And he's also got a lot more Banshees coming out as well. There is the third one, and now he's going to make the switch here as he puts it on the reactor. And he's got 3 Banshees now, one of them being repaired as well. So 3 full health Banshees heading out right again. Combat Shield about to finish, and Vikings now coming out of that reactor starport.
Very, very cool play. He can do a lot of harassment, and then he saw the Colossus and then is going to get the Vikings to be able to adequately deal with it. More Colossi coming out. No range yet. Forge coming out from TT1. That's something that we haven't seen a lot of. Don't like that pylon placement at all. That walls off more Stalkers from getting in there, and there we see how the wall is coming into negative effect. But one Stalker gets picked off, and all of TT1 Stalkers are pinned at the back.
I like that he's using the 2 Banshees in the back. He's using this one on the outskirts of TT1's base to take out those pylons, and it's a good thing he made these pylons around the Nexus that could have powered down the robotics bay. Now they're going to fire this one down. Oh, it manages to stay alive with 32 points of health, but look at how much damage those Banshees in great numbers can do. And great numbers, I mean, this is only 3. He is not producing any more, but the longer he can keep these alive, the better off it's going to be, just chipping away at some of these units and pylons and various buildings of TT1.
Now, as fun as that harassment is to see, and as annoying as it can feel for TT1, TT1 still is ahead in the food count. He's getting the upgrades. He's getting photon cannons. He's still getting the Colossi. No range yet, which could be a huge misstep. But Jinro needs to begin doing a little bit more pressure with his Marines and Marauders, and it looks like he's gearing up to do so. He has all of those key upgrades, the concussive shells, the last one coming up right now, picking off that Xel'Naga watchtower, and this is a very intimidating force. Don't forget that those Banshees still can do huge damage to the Colossus.
Yeah, we do have a couple of medevacs coming out as well. Vikings will follow, and so that will help out this army considerably. He's going to move through the gold of his opponent and just get ready. Stage up right here. Of course, positioning huge for Terran. Look at this probe now heading over. He wants to put a Nexus down. Oh, no, there is that factory. Now, if his army moves over to deal with that factory, and here he goes, the big push.
No, there's no Stalkers to defend. One Colossi for free. Jinro is advancing in completely unstopped. There's the point defense drone going down. TT1 caught at a horrendous angle. The last remaining Colossus falls. Look at the force fields from TT1 trying to do damage, but TT1 was just caught at the worst possible angle at the worst possible time, and Jinro is exploiting it with his enormous Terran force.
Yeah, so much is being damaged here. We've got probes dying, and there it is, GG.
Wow, there's the good game.
And wow, I mean, Jinro just, he levels up in his power level like each game that he goes through, just looking more and more impressive. And now we will be going to TT1 to find out what map he wants to choose, as game 1 decidedly won by Jinro.
Yeah, and you know, that's quite unfortunate because that really goes to show the importance of good army positioning. Jinro did a great job moving around with all those Banshees, and TT1 felt obligated to leave all the Stalkers in the main, even more Stalkers behind the natural, and there were nothing but Zealots and Colossus outside the front, so the Vikings just got to walk up and kill them for free.
Yeah.
And of course, if that is the power unit of your army, you desperately need that not to fall.
Yeah, you know, it was bad enough that he went over to take his third, and of course the Nexus could not be dropped due to the factory that was there. But the fact that his armies were actually so out of position there, it was a really, really quick cleanup. And I'm sure even Jinro was a little surprised that he was able to win that so easily.
Yeah, yeah.
And so here we go. If we are ready, we're going to switch to colors and get things ready. Jinro looking very focused, and I mean, just phenomenal job. His first MLG outing, and that's what's even more impressive. You know, if you didn't know anything about the world of StarCraft and you were just watching MLG events, and suddenly in a third event, Jinro just comes out of nowhere, and even though people know exactly who he is and where he's from and what he's been doing lately, but still an impressive showing here in this environment. So we have got all the players ready. Looks like they are good, and we just got update that Machine is up 1-0 in his match versus TLO.
So that does mean that Machine does have the chance to win that 5th place prize money, and the loser of that will get the 6th place prize money. But either way, at hand, we have LiquidJinro against TT1 Game 2 on Xel'Naga Caverns. Jinro already leading 1-0, but we have seen the tides turn both for and against Jinro, so let's see if TT1 can pull a comeback on this map.
Another thing so important, Day, is that both of these players are going to be so deadly in the grand finals, not having lost a match, because the thought of having to fight them twice is brutal.
So in the bottom left, give a cheer for TT1, the red Protoss from Fnatic MSI, who is battling to try to get into the grand finals. No matter what happens in this game, he is not out of this tournament yet. And give a cheer for the player in the top right, LiquidJinro, the blue Protoss from Team Liquid, trying to represent. Now, for the record, Jinro was actually the moderator of Team Liquid StarCraft 2 forum for several years. And you know, it's kind of funny, if you've ever gotten the chance to read the admin forums, how unbelievably nice he is to everyone at all points in time. Someone will freak out and say the most offensive things, and he'll give him a 2-day ban and say, I hope I wasn't too harsh. He's actually an extremely nice person.
That's good to know. Make sure he's admin.
Nice person in real life, murderer in the game.
Murderer in the game, and that's exactly what he did in Game 1. I mean, he just made it look so easy in that particular match with the great Banshee play coming out there. Of course, just the great push and the timing on that. We are going to have barracks going down for Jinro right now as the probe production continues, and of course we have TT1 throwing down his gateway.
I actually did like that word you almost made up, conduction there. That probe conduction, I think, is a pretty cool thing. You always want to have a highly conductive probe. So there's LiquidJinro shooting down to the bottom left with his SCV, just checking to make sure there's no proxy gateways. Didn't do it as fully as most players do, dipping behind that shrubbery, but either way, he's going to stop by. The Xel'Naga watchtowers, you know something I just realized, Wheat?
What's that?
I don't think that we have seen Jinro repeat strategies ever. Every single game of his that we've seen, even some of the replays of his I've watched, he's done completely different openings every single time.
No, I think you're right on that. I think that would be a statement of truth, Dave.
Thank you. I like to say true things as a caster. I also like to lie a lot as well, but that's the power I have with the mic, man. Either way, we do see the Cybernetics core going down for TT1 in the back of his main. Again, nice spotter Cybernetics core. Can see a lot of vision back there. Jinro is, of course, making 2 Marines at this point in time. Getting the Mule down as well. Don't have a factory going down yet. Actually, nothing made use of that gas yet.
Nope, just the first Marine coming out. We'll find out what will come down next for Jinro. Maybe he wants to get that Marine out, deny any scouting first. He will be putting a tech lab down on the barracks. And, of course, Marine is going to try to shoo this probe away from the Xel'Naga watchtower and, of course, from getting any intel from inside the base. Meanwhile, Zealot out for TT1. He will chase out the SCV as well, and a Stalker coming in as well.
Looks like that Zealot is evicting the SCV. These Marines from Jinro are desperately trying to find this probe, but wow, TT1 with some very nice movement patterns manages to sneak its way right on up, and it looks like a command center will be going down for LiquidJinro. He'd like to have it hidden as long as possible, but that's a pretty significant delay. He's up at 500 minerals and is really trying hard not to reveal his plans, but I think TT1 has a good idea of what's coming regardless.
And if you are TT1, what are you thinking is coming?
Well, honestly, I think that he's probably going to be going for the one gate expand. We do see, a lot of stalkers lined up, but no second gas, no other gateways, warp gate going down, but no surprise there. I think that he would be very wise to throw down a command center very shortly.
All right, well, the command center is down. We'll see if Nexus comes out here. Here comes TT1 with his 400 minerals making his way to his natural. And look at this little SCV right here is going to catch it. And he does come into vision just briefly there. So I'm sure that TT1 has an idea that, oh, he just got spotted on that, although it was probably pretty likely, as you said, as an answer to what we saw Jinro go with.
So we see several stalkers popping out right now with one Zealot, and notice he's not getting this gas still. He's going to rely on stalkers and Zealots to defend instead of the usual sentries to throw down the force fields. We do see that that stim upgrade is going down, extra barracks down, and a reactor coming up from Jinro wants to be aggressive. And look, already Jinro is gearing up for the late stages of the game by killing these destructible rocks, and it looks like, wow, 4 gateways going down for TT1.
I really like that. I mean, idle units are just exactly that. Idle units, you're going to likely take this if it does go to the late game. Let's get it out of the way and not make it something else you got to worry about later on. So Jinro definitely being active all over the map, just as he was with his scouting. And we do have a probe going around the back. We're going to be curious to see what TT1 will decide to do here. Of course, so the expansion just going down. We haven't seen Jinro put too much attention on that back door. Sometimes you'll see a supply depot. Sometimes you'll see a Protoss put a pylon there, but he's just going to use it to quickly get around safely so he can actually get back there and may even be able to walk right into his base.
That is a really unusual coincidence that right as the rallied units completed, they were exiting, so he will see absolutely everything, and that's got to be a shock to your confidence as Jinro. Jinro is getting the stim and combat shield upgrade. Again, going to rely on very good unit movement, but look at this. TT1 had perfect transfer timing on that Nexus in the main. Still only one gas geyser, and there is his second gas geyser going down at the 63 food mark, but look at the impressive army TT1 is accumulating.
Yeah, it's looking really good right now, and so that is obviously going to be Q for Jinro to move back. He did get stim finished, and combat shield is nearly completed as well. Factory also going down here right in the middle of Jinro's base as he continues bio production out of these barracks.
And it looks like, yeah, Marines still do not have the shield quite yet there. It's just now finishing. Curious if he's going to go for some sort of timing push, but instead he builds a bunker at the front, probably feeling very scared because he did scan and see 4 warp gates finished. No sign at all, actually, of a robo bay. There it is, finally going down at the front. And he can use these gateway units to begin whacking down at these destructible rocks to take yet another expansion. And look at this, 2 more racks going down for Jinro as he's gearing up to get a starport.
All right, well, we could see a stream of bio units coming out here for Jinro, a style that's actually become very, very popular even before the factory goes down. A ton of barracks just spinning out those units and constant pressure. Starport is going down right now. Over on the other side, we've got the robo facility about ready to complete, and another gas was just finished, and we'll see if it is populated here momentarily. But again, this is the size, about the size of the army that we've seen TT1 push forward with in some of these other matchups. At what point do you think he's going to be comfortable? You think we're going to see movement here soon?
I think he'll probably favor getting an observer first just to lead with it, because at this point in the game, he's playing quite far into the dark. The Terran timings are a lot wider than the Zergs, because Zergs do have to choose, do I make units or do I make drones? So he can exploit that quite a bit. But against Terran, he doesn't really know. It looks like Jinro's favoring the big Marauder force, is now getting 1 medevac out, and look at how low his money is, down under 50-50 for both minerals and gas. Immortal coming out right now for TT1. Like that play quite a bit. Again, the Colossus creates a big vulnerability if your opponent is willing to spread his units out. which, as we've seen, Jinro is quite apt to do.
We're going to have an Immortal popping out, and if you look over here, Day, at the wing, there is a pylon that has been put down here by TT1. Curious to see what he'll actually end up doing with that one, whether it is just, again, a spotting pylon in case any medevacs want to come down through there or anything, but we'll find out in just a moment. Some movement here by TT1 as he gets his first Colossus out on the field, and, of course, Extended Thermal Lance also on the way.
Big force of Marines and Marauders out right now for Jinro, and there's the Ghost, his trademark favorite unit. We see the Ghost Academy at the north end. No nukes, unfortunately, for us observers, but still he is coming forward with a very intimidating force, and this could do quite a bit of damage. It all really relies on the force fields that can be thrown down by these 4 sentries in the back. 1 Colossus out as well, and it is going to be quite a while until TT1 gets a big, dominating Colossus force.
And TT1 did attempt to put another pylon over on the second wing, and it was taken out. And look at this, Jinro actually going over there to see what's going on. Is he going to catch that pylon? He does, and he'll take that out as well, lowering, of course, the vision of TT1, and also taking away a little bit of that supply, although he's doing very, very well. You look at it, it's 117 for Jinro to 132 now for TT1 as he is pulling ahead ever so slightly.
And I really like this play, again, getting the very fast forge for the +1 attack upgrade helps do a little bit more damage to those ground units. And Jinro's army is looking relatively small when compared to TT1's, but again, Jinro with these little small forces picking off a pylon at the south end, keeping Marines in good spotting locations. I mean, if you just look at his vision, he has almost a complete line across the map.
Yeah, and Jinro is doing very well with this against Sock, too. In a lot of cases, he would actually use these smaller forces to absorb things like storms that were coming out, etc., getting that energy be wasted. And while all this is going down, while the rocks are being taken out, we did see a medevac picking up several units, 4 Marines, 2 Marauders, and oh, will they? Yeah, I think he saw that flying away there with the vision, yeah, with the tower, and so he may just choose to push forward here.
Uh-oh, but was he paying attention to the mini-map? We will find out soon as the drop is happening. Huge push at the front. He stims, but that is a lot of Zealots from TT1 just murdering all of those Marauders. Only 1 Colossus, but clearly doing more than enough damage. TT1 did see it and warped in units in time. Still chrono boosting the +1, and TT1 has no Colossus. He has 1 Colossus at the back, but still a very, very powerful force. He's going to be able to wipe out this command center. This drop did get repelled. Oh, the expansion from Jinro falls, and TT1 is in dominating position.
Yeah, very good position right now. He is now just sitting on top of the gold of his opponent, Jinro. The drop is going to return back to the base, and he just wants to be as annoying as possible. Some Zealots are going to come in. Oh, watch out, because the Colossus has come to join the party. Cannot take out those Zealots, but he does manage to do significant damage to them, and you can see TT1 gearing up here to take this gold.
Does need to warp this into a warp gate. There's been a little bit of disorganization. If we go to the APM, look at TT1 playing at 235 APM. Very, very fast, but how much of that is speed and how much of that is just nerves getting to him, the adrenaline causing him to click around a little more frantically. There's the gateway coming out right now, even chrono boosting it to get it up sooner. And here comes the giant force of TT1 together. There's a whole bunch of pylons just out, and it looks like he will get some free food.
Yeah, he's kind of way out of position here. He's going to move forward, take off these pylons, and this army of TT1 is going to have to move back in. Now, what will Jinro do now? He's going to come around the corner, and TT1 might try to hold him off at the pass, but he's not going to go immediately through that little choke there. He's going to actually go the opposite way. 1 Viking getting picked off here by the Stalkers. It will manage to take away. Oh, and there goes a free Colossus in the back.
And it looks like this Colossus is taking a lot of damage, but also helping with this battle quite a bit. There's the EMP just slicing through most of those units. 1 Colossus falls. The second one falls, but it is not the Colossus winning the battles today. It is all these ground units ripping through everything, but at the same time, a small counterattack by Jinro doing some damage. Double Robo Bays out right now, and that Immortal is just helping rip through the rest of those. And here comes another drop attempt by Jinro, but there are cannons and Zealots there to greet him.
Yeah, nice job keeping these Zealots around. He's going to warp more units in back at his base, force this dropship to get out of there, and he did. Now he's going to put down this Nexus, despite the fact that Jinro did move forward and take that down. The dropship will just remain there, and you can also see TT1 at this winged expansion expansion as well. Just with the probe there, not sure what he wants to do with it, as Jinro's going to try his second attempt at this gold.
Yeah, and this is a very just solid position for TT1. Look at how many units he has. He has the +1 upgrade. He's even getting the +1 armor. Moving around, we don't see any Twilight Council. He's trying to get some of those more Colossi up. And now that he's getting that gold up, he'll be in good position. And the Planetary Fortress is not up. The bunkers have to be canceled. Jinro is in an all-out retreat. Beautiful EMPs. Oh, hitting almost everything. But it will not matter because Jinro is so low on units. One Colossus falls. Can he get the second one? It may not even matter. The Immortal at the front falls, and that Colossus is still helping to do damage from the back.
Yeah, Colossus is about dead, and it looks like a second time. The Planetary Fortress is almost done, and just as it completes.
There's the good game. TT1 from Fnatic MSI tying the series up 1-1.
Very solid play by TT1, and that's exactly what we were talking about in terms of that playing to perfection, playing with timing. There were really no mistakes there. He handled the drops quite well. He didn't really panic or send too many units back there. He reinforced when he needed to, and a very, very great game there by TT1. We're now tied 1 apiece in the winner bracket final, and it's just like you can get rid of those games and just say, okay, whoever wins the next one,
it's a best of one.
Yeah, it's a best of one now.
It's just like a regular old ladder match for several $1,000s. And it is going to be on Lost Temple. Jinro does get the choice of map, like you were saying earlier on, Wheat. That is such an advantage. If you can get that first win, you do get to choose what the final map will be. And Temple, I think that TT1's going to be pretty pleased with this, as we've seen he's a little bit more of a two-basing player. And on 2 bases, Lost Temple's pretty easy to defend your natural.
Here we go. We're getting the game set up. This is the third and final game of this winner bracket final between TT1 and Jinro. We're going to go ahead and move players into the respective area. And you can see them right there up on the screen. You can also see Machine and the little one battling it out over there. Not really sure what the update is on that one. They could still be in the second game. So let's go. Both players are ready, and it's all going to come down to this. After this one game, there will only be one man left standing who will be very comfortable in the the winning spot of the grand final. In that position, your opponent coming from the lower must win twice. It is a huge advantage for any player to be right there.
Absolutely, and the game is loading right now, and let's see what the positions will be. It is almost done. It's just Wheat's computer that is trying as hard as it can to get in the game, and there it is. Give a cheer for TT1, the red Protoss at the left from Fnatic MSI. He was down in the first game after some abuse from those Banshees, but he managed to pull back in game 2. And if you want Jinro to win this game, give a cheer for LiquidJinro, who is in the south as the blue Terran. For any of you tuning into the stream, the player in the bottom left is the Protoss TT1, and the player in the bottom right is Jinro. That is, of course, the portrait photos of people with headphones on clicking away. Map-wise position, we got Jinro at the 6 and TT1 at the 9.
Yeah, I like these positions, too, for this particular map. Not sure if Jinro is going to like these positions. I mean, I guess it just depends on what kind of style he wants to play here on Lost Temple. But, of course, we'll see what the reactionary build will end up being once they finally scout one another, or if he just has a plan that he is going with. And as you mentioned, and I think is key to point out again, that we haven't quite seen the same thing from Jinro in all the games. He's thrown out a lot of variety in his matches.
Absolutely, and really in these positions or on Lost Temple in general, Banshees are one of the most annoying units to have to deal with. So this could be a great repeat of the previous game. The one little edge that TT1 will have, notice the way these minerals are flush against the left side of the map. No real risk of Banshees hiding their way up there and escaping without any harm, the same way that on Metalopolis there's a ton of space. Either way, TT1 going gateway and gas. Same thing in Jinro, barracks, and refinery.
And scouting SCV will go out and check that Xel'Naga tower first, and then of course will navigate around. And one thing that Jinro definitely does very well, even in the last matchup, despite the fact that he won, is he is such an active scouter. He loves to have vision, and just oh so important, especially in matchups like this at this this far into the tournament. This probe is going to go up here for TT1 and make their way in. So eventually they will meet each other, get a good idea where the locations are, and then let the games begin.
There's a cybernetics core by TT1 planted flush against the backside of his base. Supply depot going down from Jinro, making sure that TT1 won't Nidus Swarm in the back of his base, or of course do any sort of warp prisming. Potato, potato. We do have a second Marine coming out right now. Jinro looks like he's again going to be going for a little bit of a faster factory, or he could be doing the same tech lab opening. He chose Lost Temple, so he will have a plan on this map. And oh yes, the offensive factory, going to be doing a little factory scouting, factory floating, maybe some Hellion harassing. Either way, he is clearly en route to get Banshees.
All right, well, that factory will go down, and we will keep a close eye on that, folks, as the scouting SCV of Jinro is going to make his way into the base. First thing out will be a Stalker on the field getting, and then, of course, we got Warp Gate being chrono boosted here, and we're going to see Jinro moving down, kind of getting down here. Doesn't see that maybe any pylons were put down here at all, and that factory is nearing completion. See what it does. Oh,
I love this pylon placement by TT1. Doesn't even have to do anything fancy like hide a Dark Shrine there or anything. He can just have it. And whenever Jinro, later in the game, begins pushing this way, he can warp in units for the counter play down at the gold. Very, very nice long-term thinking. Jinro getting a reactor at the barracks. And oh, here comes the starport. Oh, my God. Oh, is he going to see it?
Oh, I thought he was
he's not going to land it.
He did have it queued to land.
Yeah, what a tease.
And then he just saw the pylon and was like, eh.
Yeah, whatever, screw it. So he's just going to march right on in. He's going to scout everything. TT1 going for the very safe 2-gateway Robo. The reason this is so safe, you get the observer out so you can see anything. You don't have to worry about detection, and the 2 gateways, so you have enough units to be able to deal with anything. And of course the Robo can pump out Immortals if there is some sort of emergency situation. Is Jinro really, oh my gosh, like you were saying, look at how actively he's scouting.
I know, yeah. He's all over the place, and he actually didn't see that pylon on his way in, but I'm suspecting that he might see it on the way out, and no, I don't think that he will. He just skirts out, and that just must be one of those things by TT1 where he knows that he could put it right there, and if you just kind of queue up moves there on a scout, it won't necessarily see it.
Now, this is the first time in the history of the tournament, so I guess the first time in the last 3 days, that we haven't seen Jinro do a different build every match. He's returning back to the same build he did on Metalopolis, getting those extra Mariners out, getting the Raven to begin building up energy for point defense drone. Jinro not looking like he's going to be landing this on the high ground to be building tanks, as that would be king cheesy of him, but at the same time, look at TT1, how defensively he's positioning all of those Stalkers.
Yeah, and TT1 does have an observer out on the field, going to give him a huge advantage. Doesn't want to see, but a Raven out here for Jinro, and they will get to do some damage here. And yes, they take out the floating eye.
We do see the observer bulb pathetically rolling around on the grass. Very, very nice little snipe there. Very fast stim once again. Looks like, Jinro got another barracks. Wow, that is going to be a very aggressive opening. I mean, you have enough money for the barracks or for the expand, and it looks like Jinro is going all out, wants to get the push started as fast as possible, would expect him to get combat shield out of this so we can have a very nice timing, because look at this, the Robo Bay is half done. This is the curse of the Robo Bay. You are going to be vulnerable right as that first Colossus comes out, and that is right when Jinro's going to hit him.
Yeah, we also have that first Banshee out with a second one in queue here for Jinro. He's making his way across the very short gap here on Lost Temple, considering that they are close positions. However, TT1 does have a good amount of units down here, 4 Stalkers and a Sentry. The Observer's back out as well, near the bottom of his base. So at best, he's going to try to come up here on the tree line. He will see this Robotics Bay, and he will probably take out a probe, maybe 2.
And it looks like, getting another little nice snipe there. And he's going to the expansion that is undefended. One Stalker trying to warp in. Warps in so fast, but the Banshees kill things so fast that he's going to happily take some shots and retreat comfortably back Now, in this particular situation, TT1 is probably thinking that a command center is going to be floating down here momentarily, but it looks like a lot of Marauders. Very smart swap, wants only Marauders against that Colossus.
Yep, and no command center as of yet. In fact, we've got a lot more units coming out here for Jinro. We've got Stim nearing completion. Combat Shield is right behind it. That first Colossus is out, and a second one will be joining his Protoss brethren.
Now, Jinro is going to have a relatively wide window to do this push, and the one thing that TT1 desperately needs is to get some sort of range upgrade started, because then he can do this big high ground abuse with the long range up there. But look at how many units are in the back. And oh, I think he's going to know TT1 is in the panic mode. And look at Jinro bringing a ton of SCVs as well. He's going to be having auto repair on. This is a very huge push for Jinro right now.
Yeah, I like this composition. This will be very, very nice. He's going to move this factory back into position and check things out, see what we've got going on. A few photon cannons are actually warping in as well, but I think they are so far in. They are more for the Banshees, and here we go, a push that could be devastating.
Oh, here he comes moving in. He does have the two Colossus, but there's the Stim moving forward. Point defense drone. Oh no, there's almost no damage being dealt by those Stalkers. And look at how fast the Colossus falls. No units remain. Just a handful of Stalkers, and Jinro obliterating with these Banshees and this infantry force. It looks like TT1 is trying to pick off the Banshees, but they're just killing things too fast, and the repair on the Banshees. Good game! LiquidJinro is in the finals and has gotten himself one step closer to that over $6,000 first place prize.
That was a really, really awesome push there by Jinro. Just as you mentioned, had exactly in mind what he wanted to do. Loved the repair on the Banshees. We saw the Stalkers just trying rapidly to take down the health of that, and of course they could not do it even in numbers of 4. That army literally was melted.
Yeah, it's so hard for Colossi to be effective in small numbers without range. When you get them that quickly, you can't afford to get the Colossus and the range and the gateway units at the same time. You saw that those Colossi, I think, got 3 or 4 shots out combined before they evaporated to that Viking and Marauder target fire. But Jinro had everything pointed to a very nice, well-timed push. He got the Raven early so it could build energy. He just finished Stim and Combat Shield. The 2 Vikings had just finished. Very well executed all in.
We do have the now overall results of TLO versus Machine as well, although Machine did pick up the first game versus TLO. TLO did come back to win it 2-1.
So that means that TLO is our 5th place player here at the MLG Dallas National Championship, and Machine will be the 6th place player. So very, very big congratulations to both of those players.
Absolutely. I mean, out of 128 players, that's still an outstanding standing place to place.
Yeah, and I mean, really, TLO can be very pleased with himself to say that he was the #1 ranked Zerg at this tournament, as there are only Terrans and Protosses left. We'll definitely have to get the results of Pain User against Liquid Tyler. Remember, they are in an extended series where Pain User will be beginning up 2-0 because they encountered one another in the winner's bracket. So Tyler's going to have to win 4 games. Pain User will have to win 2 games. So that is going to be an uphill battle for Tyler.
Uphill battle, but we did see it done. Actually, EG Inca did exactly that versus Phoenix. Yeah, and that was, I think, really surprising to a lot of people. Inca, I talked to him about it. He was very confident about it. He said he knew he was going to be able to do it. You know, some guys, they just see that impossible road ahead of them, and that just motivates them even more. Inca, exactly that guy.
Absolutely. So now what this means is that in the lower bracket for the first time is TT1, who was inches away from winning and going to the grand final. Whoever climbs through the lower bracket will be facing LiquidJinro in the final, where LiquidJinro will have the huge advantage of having to only win 1 best of 3 or win 1 extended series. And in the lower bracket, we have Pain User, Tyler, and of course TT1.
Yeah, still some incredible talent left here, Day, and the matches even, you know, all weekend have been phenomenal, but what a showing that we've seen out of several of these players here. Of course, in the losers bracket, we saw some great matches. I've still got to go back, check out like the Kiwi versus Rhett matchup, because, you know, what happens in your head when you hear those results, obviously much different than what may have happened in the game. And then we just had, if you've just joined us, Jinro moving into the upper bracket, the grand final matchup as the winner, as the guy who can officially say I was untouchable through the regular brackets of MLG Dallas. A very, very impressive showing.
And Jinro has had no easy path in his tournament. I mean, having to play TT1 this round and beforehand Liquid Ret, and then we saw his games against Sock, has just had hard player after hard player. But that's one thing that's been so cool to me about this tournament, the insane amount of really, really epic series. A ton of nail-biting games, really good players like Sen and QXC and Idra being knocked out relatively early on. You get players like In Control and Nazgul and Select not making it to the top 12, but still progressing pretty far. And we still have more insane matches to come here at MLG Dallas in 2010. I am Day9.
And I'm DJ Wheat. Don't go away. The action will continue when we come back.